Welcome to EDTE 255, Introduction to Democratic Perspectives in K-12 Education. This is Module 11, The Global Classroom, Reading Recap. This chapter in the textbook and module address the global classroom and really address how technology is changing the nature, mechanism, and outcomes of schooling across the world. In this reading recap, we'll review the purposes of school, look at something called 21st century skills, and look at how new tools are changing the mechanisms and creating new schools. Earlier in the course, and in this module and in the chapter, we addressed the purposes of school. Historically and currently, most people identify four main purposes of school. The first one is being intellectual, where people learn new content and new skills. However, other people identify the social aspects of school on learning how to interact and collaborate with people in a variety of settings. Yet another main purpose of school is economic, to prepare a workforce to be able to work and have the skill set needed in current jobs. And yet another purpose of school is a civic one, helping students to understand how their society works and how the government works, and how to be civically minded and engaged in a society. All these four purposes work together, kind of like the gears that you see on the screen. Later in the discussion, you'll have an opportunity to discuss how these purposes of schools interact and how you would rank them. As you go through your teaching career, you might realize that certain gears become more important than others, or that some are more dependent on other gears. In this chapter and in this module, we look at how skills have evolved to meet the needs of a 21st century citizen, and that can be for intellectual, economic, civil, or social needs. One way to frame that is something called 21st century skills, and there is a partnership called the Partnership for 21st Century Learning, and they identify how these skills integrate with common intellectual and commonly taught subjects. For example, in the graphic on the screen, you can see that there are key subjects that are part of most schools that are addressing standards and assessments through curriculum and instruction for students, and then also for professional development for teachers in the context of different learning environments. On the outside of those key subjects, this Partnership for 21st Century Learning identify three additional aspects that are necessary for students to be successful once they leave a public school setting. That includes life and career skills, learning and innovation skills, including critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity, and information, media, and technology skills. All these skills are required for a modern citizen. We see these come to play where some students choose not to go on to post-secondary education, but choose to enter the workforce right away. And they need to be prepared for that once they leave high school. We also see that we have a need for media literacy. Recently, we've learned and encountered the term fake news. We need to be able to prepare our citizens to take in and understand and use critical skills when looking at the sources and the media information that they encounter, and also how to access those through online, internet, and other sources such as social media. And also at the top here, we know that skills such as collaboration and communication are skills, and they take practice and opportunities in classrooms. Additionally, in our modern economy, with a thinking economy, a knowledge economy, or a cognitive economy, we need people who can be creative and can critically think to be innovative and create new products to solve modern day problems. You will learn more about 21st century skills later in the module when you learn and explore the Partnership for 21st Learning website. In this module, looking at the global classroom, we also learn that there are new tools and new schools evolving. Just like this course, an online course offered fully online can be taken by any student anywhere in the world at any time if they have access to a mobile device or any other internet-enabled or enabled device. This is an example of an asynchronous course, where students don't even have to be face-to-face at the same time to learn. This is creating new opportunities for people all over the world to connect with one another, to learn new skills, to communicate, and to collaborate. But we also see that this is creating opportunities for students who live in rural or remote areas, for students who live in impoverished areas. And we also see that this enables students who would otherwise not be able to attend school because of special needs due to maybe something like being medically fragile and not being allowed to be in an environment that is unsafe, have access to education and be able to contribute to a communication and classroom environment. Additionally, putting all these aspects together with the global classroom, with new ways to access information, thinking about the purposes of school, and these 21st century skills, you have to realize as a teacher, you will never stop learning, and that you will need to incorporate these skills into your own classroom and practice. Specifically, there's going to always be new technology that you'll need to learn in order to use in your classroom or to teach your students how to use. For example, you will need to help your students learn how to use new social media platforms for interaction. You will also have professional development opportunities and workshops offered through your schools. Sometimes you'll have to seek these opportunities and professional development opportunities on your own. You'll also continue to learn about your own students and your community. As the demographics change or as your community ages, you'll have to continue to learn and contribute to your community. You also might engage in something called action research, where you explore a problem of practice in your own classroom based on the needs of your students or of your school. Also, standards continually change. They get refined. Sometimes one standard might move from one age group to another age group, and you need to be aware of those changes in order to adapt your teaching practices. Also, you might consider advancing your career and getting degrees such as a master's degree or a PhD after you complete your undergraduate degree. Some of you might want to consider a career as a principal in a school or a superintendent, and those usually require an advanced degree as well. And then also there are role changes, such as becoming a teacher leader or a team leader at a school, in addition to administrative roles such as a principal or superintendent. If you have any questions about the content presented in this reading module, in this reading recap of this module, please contact me via the email address on the screen. Also, don't forget to take the quiz based on the chapter in the reading recap, and make sure to post your initial response and replies to the discussion board.